In a time and during days when we talk a lot about independent music, it's lovely, lovely, lovely to have the millennials as well as Gen Zs coming up with the local taste and flavor of our state as well as country. Abhanga Repost is one such indie band, and they completely rely on folk music from the state of Maharashtra, which is exactly why the name Abhanga, something that they are going to tell us themselves. They're a bigger band, although only three of them are present with us today. Pratish, Dushyant, and Viraj. Thank you so much for joining me today. A warm welcome.
Pleasure, pleasure.
So, Abhanga Repost. Now, you stuck to the traditional conventional name Abhanga because then it becomes easier for people to understand what you're doing. But Repost, you had to kind of give it that modern touch. Who came up with the name?
Yeah, okay, it was me who came up with the name. Because but before it was a bhanga. Like we had
Okay,
just fragmented the words, yeah. And Viraj was like, there can be something because abhanga is already there, no?
correct.
So we can have something else. So we had to think about it. We had to give different names and all. And suddenly we had like Abhanga Repost because, you know, the audience or the people is a wall,
Hmm.
okay? And we are the ones who are reposting it, no?
Correct.
It's going back again, like we do on all our social
Correct.
media
Correct.
pages.
It's Marathi
So
poetry, like Pratish was just telling me. It's Marathi poetry that you're retelling.
yeah,
So yeah, you just give it a very
so
Instagrammable
so
name. Repost.
exactly. So no, not an Instagrammable name. You can say it's a very modern
Yeah,
name.
I think
Like
this was
it's a,
long back when Instagram we never used
yeah. We
Instagram.
Instagram तो बहुत बाद में आया.
So
Like
we first came before Instagram.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
So
very, very good.
we think, you know, the audience or people are a wall, and we are doing that. We are painting it with Abhangas. So it's
Nice.
Abhanga.
Nice. You may have grown up listening to a lot of Abhangas back at home. Did that happen
Of
Yeah,
growing
course,
up?
a lot
of
of
Yeah.
course.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
which
why we thought of reposting it.
okay. Absolutely. Well, it's got to do with the language of Marathi, but I'm sure by now, when you took your music to different parts of the country, people have simply loved it because you gave it a modern touch. You have modern instruments as well. You don't have just the folk instruments. You just have a harmonium, and the rest of it, you have guitars, you have a bass, you have a lead guitar. You of course have a wonderful vocalist, and you take turns. And so when you have different percussion instruments, it just adds so much flavor to it. I'm sure, and that is the language of music actually, and it cuts across any region. So did you have people from any other part of the country who did not understand the language but loved what you did? What was the reaction?
So many times this has happened. Actually,
Yeah.
we've been to Mauritius this December,
Yeah.
Okay.
and yeah, it was the first international tour, and we performed there for the first time, and all the people were not from India,
Correct.
like not even the country people, okay, like all the foreigners, and they were all enjoying all Vitthal bhajans and all the
Nice.
stuff, tabla and harmonium mixing up with drums and lead guitar and bass guitar. So it was amazing. Like people always come up with a compliments that it's really nice, it's gelling up really nice, and it's giving out the energy for sure.
Oh, that is
And we
so
also make
cool.
sure that, yeah, we also make sure that people are understanding the meanings of each Abhanga.
Yeah, we explain it
Yeah.
in the beginning always.
So that
Oh,
they
lovely.
understand what we are singing. So
Yeah,
that's
Correct.
yeah,
that's the
we
main thing.
explain
Correct.
it in the beginning.
Of course, Abhanga in itself, as you said, is poetry that you are kind of retelling in your own style. And the beauty of this is that you brought the old school as well as the new school, and which is why it cuts a chord with everyone. And because it touches a nerve with everyone, I think people are taking to it so well. Like you mentioned, the show that you had back in Mauritius. In India, I'm sure across the state of Maharashtra, they're simply happy having you bring this to the fore. When you get this kind of exposure today, and when you are talking the language, the very old language, but of course, forgotten language, if I can say so, now that you're talking to people in this new style, what has been the general reaction of your own people? I mean, traditionally, they've been listening to this in a very conventional format, but you've presented in a very new format. So, say, for instance, what did your parents have to say?
I would even say about not even about parents, but the grandparents.
Okay.
They are, yeah, I'll tell you, they are really happy because
Uh-huh.
they knew the fact that this is not going to go forward to their grandchildren.
Right.
And after they usually listen, people ask us that you're using guitar and bass guitar
Correct.
and drums. So my dadi is not going to enjoy your show, okay? She's not going to enjoy a bass guitar and drums performing all together. But after the show, all those dadis and dadas come to us and say that thank you so much, you're doing this. Thank God,
See?
now my grandchild is going to listen to all the Abhangas and they're going to enjoy. And you are the reason that I can make them sit and listen to all the poetries. So this
Oh,
has
that's so
happened all the
nice.
time.
There are a lot of
That is
kids
so
who
nice.
don't eat food till they listen to our Abhangas.
Yeah.
We get
Oh
so many
my
messages.
God, that's a huge compliment.
Yes.
That is a huge compliment. That is so cool. But when you have people of your age, okay, for you to take to Abhangas and not to maybe popular culture, what was their reaction?
It's, like
My parents are happy.
no, of our age,
Yeah.
yes, of course. People never thought that they could really enjoy these poetries.
Correct.
You know, in a festival, when a band are performing, they didn't even think about this, that I can enjoy the poetry which I learned in my 10th standard, in
Correct.
my Marathi book.
Correct.
So they didn't even thought about it, like think about it.
Yeah, like
And
we have
now when we see people enjoying our show, they come to us and say that thank you so much that you are giving me a chance to give this to my next generation and
Correct.
make them listen to these songs. And I'm liking the way you are playing it with guitar and with these guitars and everything.
Absolutely.
Because somehow I'm not getting connected to the old version of it. But yes, because I'm liking the version you are making. So we are happy for that, 100%.
बच्चे लोग
So
पास भी
cool.
हो गए कॉलेज में Sanpani ka section में no there is this guy that they know in Vasai
Uh-huh.
some from Vasai and they have Rukshavalli Amma Soere. Okay,
Okay.
so that guy, yeah, he listened to it in like long back when we performed और उसने आके बताया, you know, this poem I did the poetry section very well. और पूछ रहा हूँ क्यों, तो बता रहा है कि संतवाणी.
They could
That is so
express
cool.
their what do I say, energy, their happiness. They can
Right.
dance on
Right.
Abhangas. They
Right.
never, and that too, just imagine in Mumbai, and instead of going to Pandharpur, they can be in Mumbai somewhere wherever we are playing. They can come and listen to Abhangas and dance on it and enjoy the poetry, enjoy the music.
Absolutely.
So
So I think it is important for us to pick anything that is old and conventional and give it a new lift. You know, what you've done is lifted the music and given it in the language that people understand today, which is very important because otherwise we'll not be able to pass on the legacy that we've
Yeah.
received or we've had. You know, the heritage that we have, whether it is of music and poetry in every state for that matter. And I'm really glad to see many more people are coming up with their own regional music in a new sort of format. But this one's amazing. Of course, I have to talk to you about the Mahindra Roots Festival. I mean, you're performing in one of the biggest festivals we can think of in India, and that's happening on 24th, 25th, 26th. We'll get to that. At the Mahindra Roots Festival, it's the first time. Mahindra has been, having the Jazz and Blues Festival, which is the iconic festival they've been doing for years now. It is the biggest festival we have in the country. And now this year they have introduced the Roots Festival, of course, clearly taking us back to our own very roots. And you fit in perfectly over there. So 24th, 25th, 26th, when are you performing?
We are performing on
25th.
25th.
Okay.
And the timing will be 6 to 7, our slot. And we are performing with Arko Mukherjee and along with us,
Shapna
Shapna
Veer
Veermani will
and
also be there.
Tajdar Junaid also.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Oh, very, very good. Well done. Well done. When you perform at such festivals, and now that such platforms are also coming up, this is for the first ever time. I'm sure this is just the beginning of many, many more platforms to come up. To give everybody an opportunity to learn what our heritage is all about when it comes to poetry, when it comes to music, and there's so much more that we can still give because India is so rich when it comes to our culture. What more do you think you want to explore going into the future as a band?
first of all, if I have to be funny, staying together.
That is not funny,
As a
by the
band.
way. It's very
As a
important
band,
to
as a
stay
band.
together.
Very important nowadays because we see what happens to all the band. It's
Yes.
like yeah. So but I know for touch wood, we are always been together in all the situations, and it's just not, we have grown together with our
Correct.
music.
You'll have a
life.
total number of at least 7 or 8 members, I believe.
Six members, but our
members.
sound engineer is also there.
Yeah,
So he's been with us since
Sweet.
the last 7 years. So it's like a family.
Nice.
Okay. Second
Nice.
thing, we look forward to doing more and more Abhangas, exploring more music by ourselves,
Okay.
and creating good music, delivering those Abhangas to our next generation, making really kind of good music, and performing to. The main goal is are, if I think they all, like, they both will agree with me, is performing in front of all the non-Maharashtrian crowds, Marathi Abhangas, and without being any lingual like distinguish, they are still listening to us and they are enjoying. That's our
Correct.
dream.
Correct.
Always
We have
in India, it's one of the biggest festivals
absolutely,
there.
absolutely, and that is much needed today. I mean, one such band that I'm a big fan of, it's also because I come from there, is Taikadam Bridge. They did that too. They have picked up so many of our folk songs as well as film songs and given it their own new touch, with instruments like a violin and the guitar and the drums and keys, of course, that they also use. So I'm really glad you're bringing back so much of our rich culture. I've grown up in Maharashtra, so I can relate to this culture as much as I can relate to my own. But that's the beauty of this, and we're looking forward to watching you on the 25th, like you said, 6 p.m. the Mahindra Roots Festival. Of course, you've got to look up the Mahindra Roots Festival to book your tickets. Don't miss it at all. It's Abhanga Repost. Pratish, Dushyant, and Viraj from, of course, they're just half of the Abhanga Repost. And if you want to watch them in full, and of course, with a great set list, 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock, you said, right? On
Yes.
25th, 6 to 7.
25th.
On 25th, this is the Mahindra Roots Festival. Don't miss them. Boys, thank you so much for your time, and you're amazing.
Thank
you
you
so much,
Thank
Annie.
you. Thank you.
94.3 Radio 1.